Despite half the population being female, menopause has long not received the attention that it deserves. And as a dietitian, I have seen firsthand the huge role that nutrition plays during this life stage. I have helped hundreds of women manage their symptoms. And today I'm here to help you too. If you're new here, I'm Maria and I'm a registered dietitian. Welcome to the channel. Now, there isn't an area of the body that isn't impacted by hormonal changes during menopause. Hot flushes and weight gain typically come to mind, but there are many more. Thankfully, nutrition can help, but I have a lot to cover. So I've decided to make menopause a full series over on this YouTube channel. So make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss any future videos. Now, today in episode 1, we're going to look at what a menopause-friendly diet looks like, hormone-balancing foods like phytoestrogens, and other foods that may help manage your symptoms. In future videos, I'm going to cover things like weight gain, particularly around the middle. I'm going to cover what to eat for heart health and bone health, what to do about insulin resistance, and how nutrition can help with low mood, anxiety, muscle loss, and even changes to your skin and hair during this time. Now, if there is anything else that you would like me to address in this series, please comment below, and I will do my best to include it in an upcoming video. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. So we're going to start by looking at what hormones are changing and what it means for us. And once the average woman is through menopause, she will have lost up to 90% of her estrogen. Now, as a dietitian, I take this hormonal change very seriously for 3 reasons, which I want you to remember and take seriously too. The first one is that estrogen plays a role in heart health. So after menopause, women must pay more attention to their cholesterol and their blood pressure. Secondly, estrogen has a protective effect on our bones. As we now have less estrogen, we need to care more about our bones. And lastly, these estrogen changes can impact your weight and where you store fat. These are not my words, but many of my clients refer to this as their menopause. And weight gain around the middle is much more dangerous than having extra weight on your hips or on your thighs, because this extra fat is now surrounding your organs, like where your pancreas and your liver sit. And when these organs are overcrowded, they can't do their job as well. And then we can run into problems like insulin resistance. Now, I'm going to pause here and ask that if you're enjoying the video so far, I would really appreciate it if you hit the red subscribe button below. It really helps support my channel. And if you're looking for healthy, high protein recipes, I'd recommend following me over on Instagram. Now, we also have changes to progesterone, and once a woman is through menopause, she will have lost all of this. And when progesterone levels begin to fall, we can experience increased water retention, which is why many women report feeling more bloated at this time. And this can be extremely uncomfortable for many. Then testosterone is something that we think typically of as a male hormone, but women have it as well. And it is really useful to us because it plays a role in bone maintenance and it helps us build muscle. Why is this important? Well, because how much muscle we have impacts our metabolism. A person with more muscle will burn more calories at rest than a person with more fat tissue. So we really want to be taking proactive steps towards, at the very least, maintaining the muscle that we do have. And the last hormone I want to draw your attention to is cortisol, otherwise known as our stress hormone. And cortisol and estrogen normally have a balancing effect on one another. Think of it like a seesaw. So as expected, when estrogen levels decline, the balance is off and cortisol tends to go up. And this can increase our appetite. And it's thought of as partially responsible for menopausal weight gain. So we really need to be focusing on stress management at this time too. Now, there are a few other nutrition-related points that are really important to be aware of around menopause too. The first one is that plummeting hormones can weaken your immune system, and autoimmune diseases like celiac disease, rheumatoid arthritis, and type 1 diabetes are more common in older women. So if something is starting to feel really off, it's important to consider these possibilities and speak with your doctor. Unfortunately, also the gut microbiome changes after menopause, becoming less diverse. And a diverse gut microbiome is linked to better gut health. And as our gut diversity decreases, we may experience more digestive issues like bloating or even diarrhea. And lastly, newly diagnosed eating disorders are on the rise in women going through menopause. This can be a physically and mentally challenging time. So maintaining a healthy relationship with food is crucial. And whilst watching videos like these and making dietary changes to improve your health is great, finding a balance and not letting food dominate your life is important. So our hormones are changing, and with that, our nutrient needs are changing too. So to briefly summarize, we need to focus more on protein and resistance training for our muscles, calcium and vitamin D for our bones, and fiber for our heart health. We need less of a focus on saturated fat and sodium to help keep our blood pressure and our cholesterol in check. We may need fewer calories as our metabolism may slow slightly as we age. And we also tend to be running around less and less active. And now we no longer need as much iron as we once did either, as menstruation has ceased. So overall, although we may now need to eat slightly less, we do still really need a nutrient-rich diet. Broadly speaking, there is evidence that a whole food diet, high in fruits and vegetables and whole grains, high quality protein and dairy products can help with reducing menopause symptoms. And these dietary principles summarize the Mediterranean diet, which is a way of eating based on the traditional cuisines of Greece, Italy, and other countries surrounding the Mediterranean Sea. So if you want a quick answer for what is the best diet for going through the menopause, the Mediterranean diet is the one. And the easiest way to follow this is by using the balanced plate model. It's simple and it's practical. You're aiming for 1/3 to half of your plate being colourful veg, fruit or salad. 1/4 should be lean protein and 1/4 should be a starchy carbohydrate, with a small amount of healthy fat in there too. Now after this, I do like to get a little bit more prescriptive. You need to make sure that you are including at least 3 servings of a calcium-rich food daily to protect your bones. And if you have been identified as somebody with bone loss, you may be advised to try to consume even more calcium. Now, I don't think you need to count calories, but I do think you need to count your calcium. And osteoporosis is a horrible disease that is much more common in women, particularly after menopause. And you really don't appreciate how valuable strong bones are until they become fragile. So even if you are struggling with your weight after menopause, do not cut any corners when it comes to getting in your calcium. And I'm really passionate about this, so I am going to make a full video about bone health. Now, I also encourage all my clients to ensure that their diets include a decent amount of protein at breakfast, lunch and dinner. Because again, it's harder to build and even simply just maintain your muscle mass after menopause. So if you're having toast or cereal at breakfast, that's not cutting it. And if you're having a vegetable soup and a roll for lunch, that's not cutting it for protein either. Please watch my protein video here to learn a little bit more about protein. And I do have a protein guide as well, which I'll leave linked in the description box below. And this has nice handy tables with different foods and the amount of protein that they contain. The other prescriptive thing that I recommend is 1 serving of oily fish a week. Oily fish tends to be your coloured fish. And it's good for your heart health and also managing inflammation in the body, which again is really important at this life stage. Supplement-wise, you're no longer going to need folic acid, but you really do want to be thinking about vitamin D. Again, vitamin D is so important for your bones, but it has now been linked with many other aspects of health too. Now, recommendations on how much vitamin D you should take differ depending on what part of the world you live in. In Ireland, it's usually recommended to take 15 micrograms of vitamin D during the winter months. But some people are at risk of deficiency and should be taking it all year round. For example, if you're not outdoors often, maybe you work inside, or if you wear clothes that cover up most of your skin when you are outdoors. You're also at higher risk of deficiency if you have black or brown skin. And if you're over the age of 65, you should be taking vitamin D all year round. Another key consideration during menopause is controlling your blood sugars. And now there is a lot of noise online these days about blood sugar control, and it is quite scaremongering. So I do want to clearly say that it is normal for your blood sugars to go up and down every day, multiple times a day. And there is nothing wrong with that. But ideally, we want them going up and down in a slow and steady fashion. We want to be avoiding big spikes and big crashes. This will help keep our hunger levels under control, controlling cravings, and it helps maintain our energy levels too. And during menopause, changes to the hormones estrogen and progesterone, they can affect how cells respond to insulin, which is the hormone that regulates blood sugars. So this can trigger more fluctuations in blood sugar levels. And research highlights menopause as a potential risk factor for developing insulin resistance, a topic for a whole other video. But remember again that fat around the middle is making it harder for your organs to do their job effectively. And one of these organs is the pancreas, which makes insulin. So some tips for maintaining more balanced blood sugar levels include going back to that balanced plate model and also eating regular meals like a breakfast, lunch, dinner. This can include snacks, but you want to avoid grazing or nibbling all day. It's also helpful to make sure that you have a good amount of protein at your meals and fiber too. And you want to be choosing foods with a lower glycemic index, such as whole grains, non-starchy vegetables, beans and pulses. These are all really good choices for blood sugar levels. Now, don't be put off by the name. Phytoestrogens are just plant compounds with estrogen-like properties. And there are two main types. We have isoflavones, which are found in soybeans. And then we have lignans, which are found in flax seeds, whole grains, fruits, vegetables, and legumes. And due to their chemical structure, when estrogen levels are low, like during and post-menopause, these compounds can bind to estrogen receptors, and people may experience a mild estrogenic effect, such as less severe hot flushes. Now, most of the research on these compounds for menopause focuses on the isoflavones that are found in soya-based foods. And although the research is mixed, there do seem to be benefits to eating around 50 milligrams of isoflavones daily to reduce both the frequency and the severity of hot flushes. And you will get this amount by consuming just 2 servings of soy-based foods daily. So your soy milk, your soya yogurts, your tofu, and your tempeh. Now, combining these phytoestrogens with a diet rich in plant-based foods seems to provide the most benefit. And in one study, when 86 grams of soybeans were consumed, hot flushes decreased by 79%. Which is pretty substantial. Now, some things to note though is the benefits of these plant estrogens can take 2 to 3 months to be seen. And the effects can also vary between individuals. We don't know why they seem to work a lot better for some women over others, but it could be due to differences in the gut bacteria. And instead of having one large amount at one meal, it appears to be more beneficial to spread them out throughout the day. Now, I'm always asked about breast cancer and phytoestrogens. And you may have heard of people saying that soya was linked to breast cancer risk. And this is because some breast cancers are estrogen dependent. However, it has been concluded that isoflavones are chemically different to estrogen, and soya products are healthy to eat as part of a balanced diet without an increased breast cancer risk. Overall, there is no harm in including sources of phytoestrogens in your diet, particularly as these foods are also often good sources of protein and fiber and other vitamins and minerals. And for some women, they make a big impact. One thing to note is being careful of added sugars, salt, and fat that can be in some soya-based foods, like some soya-based meat alternatives, for example. Now, some things to be a little bit more mindful of in your diet would be caffeine and alcohol. Both of these can make hot flushes worse. So try to moderate your intake of caffeine from drinks like coffee and tea, or choose decaffeinated drinks if you're very sensitive to this effect. And try to keep to sensible alcohol limits. Not only will this help with hot flushes, but for your overall health too. And exercise, finally, is something that we really want to not overlook at this time. It can help with the hot flushes, but it's also good for your bone health and for those muscles that we're trying to hang on to. Now to summarize, because I know I have come at you with a lot of nutrition knowledge. The key takeaways that we want to focus on include the Mediterranean diet. We want to be counting our calcium 3 servings daily and considering taking a vitamin D supplement. We want to up our fiber. We want protein at every meal, and try 2 servings of soya-based foods daily if you're struggling with hot flushes. Be a little more mindful of your caffeine and alcohol intake. And it's not all about diet, we want to be trying to exercise too. Now, hopefully this video has been helpful. And as I mentioned, it's part of a series. So make sure you're subscribed for future videos. And please comment below any questions that you have or any other topics you would like me to discuss in more details. Thank you very much for watching. Stay happy and healthy, and I'll see you again next week. Thanks for watching.